Devontae. And the foul. Oh, look at the strength. Devontae Graham's got a chance for a three-point play. Backdoor cut up. Beauty! Marvin finds Devontae. Massive shot! And the Hornets break the century mark. They continue.
Yo, what's good, man? It's Devontae Graham, man. I just wanted to say, hey, I appreciate y'all for following Gun Dacker's channel, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow him, tell a friend about him. He's the man.
Hey, what's up, guys? Gun here. Happy Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. It is really, really cold outside. And I'm sure wherever you're at, there's a great chance it's cold for your standards, because it looks like much of the 48 is in a winter chill. So, man, wherever you're at, I hope you're staying warm. Hope you're staying safe, bundled up, cozy, comfy and cozy. And tonight, hey, why don't you grab some hot chocolate, cuddle up on the couch, and watch some NBA basketball. There's 8 games tonight. And there's plenty of DFS to win. FanDuel, DraftKings giving away $100K to first in the big jam. $10 entry fee on that one. FanDuel, $100K to first. $5.55 entry fee on that one. So why not hang around the old chimney fire and try to win $100,000, man? I am going to have a couple of my entries as well. And hopefully between me and all of you guys, somebody wins it. And we have a fantastic night of NBA DFS. How about last night for NBA DFS? If you guys were part of the Monday action, it got weird. James Harden leading the slate, as he should. $11,500, 62 fantasy points. I think he had something crazy like 13, 14 straight points in the fourth quarter to salvage what felt like a terrible night for DFS, right? Like if you played him in a third quarter, you had like 30, 40, and you're just like, he was a fade. But 62, he ended up being the highest scoring player by 62. Looked like he was in the top of everything I played. Andrew Wiggins behind him at 52.5, 33 real points for Andrew Wiggins. Rod's called out one on the chat. He was only 6% owned. Big play, even bigger play in retrospect, because I'm sure you guys know Brandon Ingram scratched after lock, which was after the Wiggins game tipped off. So I would have certainly turned some of my Ingram into Wiggins. It is what it is. It happens. If you guys played Ingram on FanDuel, you were stuck with him. If you played him on DraftKings, you were able to swap, but they made you sweat because the edit lineups feature wasn't working for a little bit. It was a pretty eventful night, and then throughout the night, it felt like there's a lot of injuries and a lot of games. We saw Derrick Rose hit the locker room. He ended up coming back. OG Anunoby injuries. We just saw all night people going down. And then Rudy Gobert, 51.5 fantasy points. D'Angelo Russell, 50.5. The Big Cat, Ernie Ladd, 49.5. Kemba Walker got to 47, and he had something like 9 DKP at half. So he showed out. And I think in that game, what happened in that game? Jason Tatum went 1 for 1. Here it is, right here. Jason Tatum went 1 for 18 from the field. That's a yikes. So if you played some Jason Tatum yesterday, and I might have had a smidge, that wasn't great. Jaylen Brown did his thing. Everyone else just kind of, no surprises. Jaren Jackson snuck up there at 44 DKP. But there wasn't really any more surprises. Maybe Luke Kennard counts as a surprise. But for the most part, the guys who ended up top, Josh Hart maybe didn't call that pre-flop, but after Ingram got ruled out, we expected him to be a high-minute guy. So, eventful Monday night. If you guys walked out with more money than you walked in with, congrats to you. You will get to go on to tonight and try to re-roll it, get it back going. Just a quick look at today's prices. I'm going to go to all on DraftKings. LeBron James, Anthony Davis leading the charge on an 8-game slate as the only 22 players above 10,000 bucks. So we are going to get an opportunity to make some pretty balanced lineups, and we've already got news and notes notating a lot of potential injuries, a lot of potential rests, a lot of guys out. So that's going to make tonight pretty unique, and we will be needing to keep our ears to the ground and keep our eyes on the prize as we head into lock this afternoon. I want to remind you guys that this video here on the YouTube channel is only intended to be a super quick preview at the games tonight, and then a couple of plays I like. I would invite you guys to rejoin me this afternoon live at twitch.tv/Gundacker99, scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. That'll be where we have a little bit more news. I have a couple more minds to pick, right? We have the RunDFS.com Discord going at it. And then, of course, you guys live in the Twitch chat will be able to interact with us, throw us your ideas. We are absolutely building an amazing community over there. You heard Devontae Graham, man. Follow the channels. Follow this channel. Follow the Twitch channel. Link to the Twitch is below in the description and in the top comment, twitch.tv/Gundacker99. If you sign up for Twitch and you follow, you'll get a notification when we go live if you have the app on your phone or what have you. But just kind of look out for 3 p.m. Eastern. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll usually tweet out a link. Before we start talking about a couple slates today, I do want to show some love for some of the VIP family last night. First of all, Ed, the homie Ed, he's been a super long time member of the premium RunDFS.com community. Says last night almost binked the late night and the the showdown slate last night. Flipped $1,100 off of what looks like less than $100 of entries. Shout out to him. And then in the NFL chat, our buddy Big Sock looks like he got himself almost over 7K. So big time hits for him. Big time success that we're seeing week to week. I love seeing different players, different members of the community win big because everybody eats, man. Even Raj for a while was 4th and 5th in the $4 last night on the back of Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Incredible hero call there from him. So lots of funds there. If you guys want to be part of the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, you can do so with a week pass at RunDFS.com. In addition to 24/7 access to the Discord and access to pre-lock voice chats, you'll get access to the spreadsheets that I do for NBA and NFL. I might talk a little bit more about that later in this video, but also we'll talk more about it in the Twitch stream. You guys, if you've been to the channel, you know about the VIP section. It's a premium service that we have in addition to all the free content. So taking a quick peek at tonight's games. First of all, Oklahoma City Thunder at the Indiana Pacers. First game on the docket. We have some injury news and notes to discuss here, mainly on the Indiana side, because we have got a lot of outs creating some heightened minutes and heightened opportunity. First of all, Jeremy Lamb will not play for this one. Miles Turner will not play. Goga Bitadze, mild concussion, will not play. So those are three guys that have been ruled out, and those are a couple of starters. In the absence of those guys, we expect big minutes and big responsibility for guys like Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis, and both guys are priced at a point where they can get there. Malcolm Brogdon is actually a little bit cheaper than he has been to start the season at $7,600. We still should expect plenty of minutes for him. He only had 29 minutes in Orlando, but I do think that's more of an anomaly. I think an average game from him, 32, 35 minutes, and in those minutes we have seen him hit 40 plus fantasy points. So I like him a lot. And the other guy that I would immediately look at is Domantas Sabonis at 8,400. The minutes, 38, 39 minutes in the last two games without Miles Turner and or Goga Batadze. Their front court is really, really short. They have like TJ Leaf. They got Jakar Sampson, who is stretching, and I think Elise Johnson. I don't even know if he's on the big team. That's it. So Sabonis has to play minutes. It's a revenge game for Sabonis at that. So I think that's a guy that minutes equal money for me in 8,400. I think the north side of 40 fantasy points is there. I put down 39 minutes in the old algorithm, and it spit back 49.5 DKP. So it's a fantastic start for me to be interested in Sabonis, and I don't mind handcuffing him to Brogdon. And then TJ Warren has had some decent games against the Thunder in the past. Way different team here. But at 5,700, he's another guy that likely has to soak up a lot of minutes, and he would stand out as an opportunist at sub 6K that maybe could give me the north side of 30. We've seen it a few times. I think the last time we saw it was against Charlotte. I think that went to overtime, and I don't think Sabonis played that game. So there could be a strong correlation between Warren and Sabonis in terms of Warren's ability to get there. Warren, for what it's worth, man, does not really do much in the way of peripherals. Is basically scoring dependent. A couple steals, a couple blocks, maybe 2, 4 rebounds. Man, that's not what you want to see from a forward. You want those forwards to be able to rack up the peripherals, and then the points are just sugar on top, right? On the Thunder side, Chris Paul, SGA, and Nerlens Noel kind of stand out. The guy that we need to watch for the Thunder is going to be Stone Cold Steven Adams. He is currently listed with a left knee contusion. He's officially questionable for this game against the Pacers. Head coach Billy Donovan downplayed Adams' knee injury on Sunday, and he implied his absence from that game was more precautionary than anything else. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays Tuesday. That's a report dated November 11th, yesterday. So we'll see if he suits up. If he does, I don't know that 5K Noel enters any of my player pools. I will say Danilo Gallinari is intriguing to me at 64. And then I could see and understand some cases for Chris Paul. And then SGA, I do believe, has 40-plus point potential. The Pacers defensively, I want to believe in them to be better than they are. And the same with the Thunder defensively. But we have had a mixed bag of nuts in terms of results. And it's easy to make excuses for the Pacers right now, considering the injuries to their starting core with Miles Turner being down, with Sabonis missed a couple games, Goga down, Jeremy Lamb down. And then I guess you could kind of spin the same thing for the Thunder without Steven Adams. But for what it's worth, just pen to paper, both teams kind of been average in terms of defensive efficiency. Pacers right at 104, and the Thunder 101.7. So probably closer to good than bad, but still enough minutes and opportunity for me to project interest. Next game, Sixers hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. We got a 214.5 total for this one, 9.5 point spread. Favored the home team, Philadelphia 76ers. When I'm looking at the Cavs, a couple names stand out. Mainly Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson. Both guys at these particular price points, 8,200 and 6,700, have individual upside. I have been kind of burned at attacking them both lately. It seems like one or the other comes through. Last two games, it's been more TT than Love. But you're seeing the shots for double-double still there. The shot attempts for Kevin Love kind of went back down, which is a trend that we noticed to start the season. He had 9, 8, 12 shots, and then I was like, man, this ain't going to last forever. He's going to start chucking threes. He's going to start taking double-digit shot attempts, and that's literally what happened in the next couple of games. And we saw, 50-point games, and then the last couple of games has kind of been lower than higher. But I think in a matchup like this, it could come back. So I don't mind having some individual shots on both Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson. Because I'll say this, man, the 76ers have allowed a couple of decent games to opposing centers. Cody Zeller just dropped 35 and a quarter DKP, that is, in 27 minutes. Jokic just dropped nearly 60 in 38 minutes. Rudy Gobert, 48 in 37 minutes. And Aaron Baines, 38.75 in 32 minutes. A lot of this is with Embiid off the court or with Embiid not even suiting up, but nonetheless, it's still there. And Embiid does have a weird minute rotation, especially early on. He only plays like 5 minutes in the first quarter. They take him out and they kind of rotate him through, and it creates opportunity for these higher minute guys like a Tristan Thompson, who in neutral game scripts sees 36, sees 37 minutes to pick up some extra juice in that time. So I don't mind looking at Tristan Thompson at 6,700 because he does have 40-plus point potential. And at 67, I can live with mid-35s, and he's gotten you 35-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. And that other game being against the New York Knicks, where he just missed a double-double by 1 bucket and 1 point. So, tier threes, but I'm still interested. 76ers, keep an eye on this injury report. First of all, you guys know about Ben Simmons. Got knocked a loopy on that road trip with a shoulder injury. He's questionable for this game. He was expected to miss at least 3 games when he went down with the injury. So this looks like would be game number 3, which would match the projected downtime. So if he misses this game, it would be as planned. And then watch Al Horford. He's dealing with rest, and he will not suit up for this game. This is going to be the first game of a back-to-back set, and it looks like maybe the Sixers think that they don't need Horford to beat the Cavs here. So I just want to stress that it's not as of this, as of right now, which is like 5:30 a.m. Central. Ben Simmons is not officially out. There's probably still a chance he does play, but without Ben Simmons theoretically, and without Al Horford. For sure. Sub 7K Tobias Harris sure feels like a play I can get behind. In the last couple games straight, 34, 40, 28, 44.5, 42. The potential for 40 plus, I think, is absolutely there. And in the absence of Al Horford, we might see deep minutes for him. And even some increased usage, some increased shot attempts. We look at Al Horford's game log last couple games, 9, 12, 14, 20 shot attempts, a bunch of peripherals, 7, 10 boards, bunch of assists. So I don't mind looking at Tobias Harris as a tier 2 play, maybe even higher. And then guys like Furkan Korkmaz and Josh Richardson would also get an inherited boot. I can't talk today. J-Rich right under 6K. Matchups fine for me. 30 DKP in that Charlotte game, 20-41. So you'll get a mixed bag of results with him. So I can never do anything more than a tier 2 for him. And then Korkmaz feels like a decent value play at 4,200. Should he continue to get the role of shooting some buckets here? 14 shot attempts in that Charlotte game. Now the Charlotte defense is a little soft, so I can't overreact to that. But he did take some shot attempts, and I do think we have enough history to know that they'll look at Korkmaz to take some shots. But the big guy here, Joel Embiid, 9,400. Everyone was on him Sunday against the Charlotte Hornets, and guess what? He played 26 minutes. And what was pretty much a blowout. The final score doesn't really tell it, but with like 4 to 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Brett Brown called off the dogs and put in the backups to the backups. And Charlotte kind of came within 6 at one point. But yeah, he didn't push his starters out there to go deep. So without Horford here, you might even see a switcheroo where Embiid plays night 1, takes off night 2, or something like that. Even though Embiid did just have a suspension that was a couple nights off. But I don't know if this hot stove makes some hands tentative to go back to the well here. But the usage and opportunity is there, and even more so now without Horford on top of Ben Simmons. So at 9,400, Joel Embiid likely assumes 30+% usage while he's on the court. And if we project him for 32+, minutes, I think he should be just fine for an opportunity at 50 fantasy points. I put him at 32 minutes in the old algorithm and 50.99 spat back. So definitely will be jotting down Joel Embiid as a player I have high interest in today. Detroit Pistons at the Miami Heat. Pistons night 2 of a back-to-back. 208.5 is our total 7-point spread in favor of the Miami. I don't have an official note on Blake Griffin being out. I didn't see it on Twitter. I didn't see it on any of my fantasy sources. The reason why I even bring this up is because when I went to NBA Vegas odds from Vegas Insider, they list Blake Griffin as out, and based on this being blank right here, it kind of suggests that they took the game off the board on some of these. So there may be conflicting reports on whether or not Blake plays. I think it's very, I'll say, logical to assume that Blake Griffin, coming back from injury, could take night 2 of a back-to-back off. But I wasn't able to independently verify that with anything as of now. But I do think that could change as we go forward into the day, a couple hours. And if you guys see something, you don't mind dropping a comment whenever something drops, that'll be cool. And then, of course, we will revisit it on the afternoon Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Gundacker99 based on any news that came out. If Blake Griffin were to be out, and it's not a good matchup, Miami Heat play decent defense, especially at home. Andre Drummond went down in price to under 9K, and we have seen his ability to go all the way off in the absence of Blake Griffin. So he becomes an interesting shot, even though it is night 2 of a back-to-back. Derrick Rose went down in last night's game, started last night's game, came back. He's another guy you probably watch on night 2 of a back-to-back. Tim Frazier, another guy to watch. Bruce Brown, somebody to watch. There was a lot of chaos in that game. Luke Kennard was your big scorer, 6K tonight. He dropped 40 fantasy points last night. And call me crazy, guys, but how many times does Tony Snell have to hit 5X for us to be like, okay, maybe Tony Snell can be in the pool if we absolutely have to play him? 24, 19, 33 in his last 3 games. I know that Tony Snell is not typically a strong fantasy play. We have seen him play for years and just be a guy out there who literally does nothing. But we have seen shot attempts lately, 7, 10, 9, 14, 9. I don't know what this is about. I don't think I like it. But at 3,900, who knows if we have to get there. The Miami Heat also dealing with quite a few injuries to absorb, understand, pull up their injury report. We'll start with Justice Winslow because we know that Justice Winslow is going to be out. He is dealing with a concussion. He will not play. He's been in the concussion protocol since November 7th, and getting rolled out a day in advance of tip-off is a bit worrying. He's a hold'em. Okay. And then also we know Dion Waiters is out. Got suspended for getting high as a kite. Tyler Hero, ankle questionable for this game. All we have to work with is questionable tags, so we'll be passing along details when we know more. That's from a report via Anthony Shang from Twitter. Derek Jones Jr., hip, will not play this game. Akpala, Achilles, will not play this game. Kelly Olynyk, knee, questionable. Again, much like Tyler Hero, not really anything else to build off of other than questionable. So the Miami Heat could limp into this game with a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, and hopefully some of that gets verified throughout the day. What we do know is that without Justice Winslow, we see Kendrick Nunn start. We also see heightened opportunity and maybe responsibility for a guy like Goran Dragic, who at 5,600, I'm looking for the north side of 30. Last 2 games, 37.5, 40, common denominator. Justice Winslow didn't play either one of those games, and the peripherals were there, and the shot attempts are there. So Dragic looking pretty good right now, and he'll be up against a Pistons team that's really not that scary defensively at any position, but particularly against opposing guards. Jimmy Butler, sub 8K on DraftKings, would absolutely be a candidate for 40-plus fantasy points. 38, 46, 33, 50 in his last couple games. The Lakers game, the Lakers guys, got to give them credit. They're basically a top 2 top 3 defense in the NBA right now. And, the Heat were stuck out on a road trip, and that was night 2 of a back-to-back. So am I going to overreact to that game? Probably not. 16 shot attempts in the last 2 games. Probably going to get the peripherals. He's going to get the defensive peripherals, and he's going to be facing a Pistons team that has to travel overnight in the cold on a back-to-back. So maybe a couple more of those steals and blocks and what have you from some of these Pistons that might be a little bit sloppier, right? Duncan Robinson could be a curious play if we for sure know that, like a Derrick Jones Jr. would be out, and maybe he can real point his way into a day at 3,700. We saw him do well against Houston, where he dropped 36 minutes and 39 fantasy points. I think Houston was the nut matchup, all things considered, and it was a blowout. So a lot of things really went his way. But again, Phoenix and the Lakers, better defenses. Maybe this is a spot for him to bounce back and give us 20 plus. And if all the stars align and everyone's out, Winslow, Hero, Olynyk, if we start getting some more outs than ins, I don't mind sweeping through this Heat lineup for some plays. And I'll especially say if Olynyk is out, I know James Johnson's back and getting a little bit of run. Pull up his game log, 3,100, 15 minutes, last 2 games. But I would also just kind of bank on Myers Leonard getting deep run here at 3,900. We've seen him be able to go all the way off in deep minutes, 28, 25 minutes in Houston and 2 Atlanta games. 20 to 35 fantasy points was our range of outcomes, floor and ceiling. So lots of guys on the Heat can become good plays, decent plays, value plays, with or without some of these questionables being ruled in or out. Bam Adebayo under 7K on DraftKings against the Pistons front court. I think the Pistons front court will scare people away. I don't think they're a matchup that I need to run from. Adebayo's perfectly fine for me. Deep minute guy, 38, 35 minutes this last 2 games. If Olynyk is out, I don't think that's going to hurt Adebayo. And then, of course, with Winslow out and guys like that, Adebayo will have to kind of step up. But with Adebayo, man, you're looking for the peripherals. And you're seeing almost double-digit rebounds in 3 games straight. You're seeing multiple steals, a couple of blocks to boot. And if you can get some buckets, go for it. 11, 15 points this last couple games. He's not going to do a whole lot of shooting, but I don't think at this price, you're playing to do that. You just want him to go out there and accrue some fantasy points. I'd probably jot him down early in pencil as a tier 3 option and then move on throughout the day. Based on news and information or lack thereof. Chicago Bulls host the New York Knicks. Next game on the docket, 213 total, 5.5 point spread in favor of the Chicago Bulls. The New York Knicks are hitting the panic button. Things are not going as expected. They held an emergency press conference after taking an L the other night. And it's just, it's a weird time to be a Knicks fan, a Knicks administrator, and to be underdogs to the Chicago Bulls. 213, kind of a low total here. We look at the team stats tab in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. And we'll look at a few things. First of all, let's look at pace of play, and let's sort it from slowest to fastest. New York Knicks currently owning the 3rd slowest pace of play in the NBA. Chicago Bulls closer to league average. New York Knicks averaging under 100 points per game. The Chicago Bulls averaging 105 points per game. The New York Knicks 98 points per 100 possessions. Chicago Bulls 100 points per 100 possessions. So everything kind of lines up for this game to not blow our wigs back with high-scoring basketball, but I do think we do obtain and retain a high predictive value in the New York Knicks in terms of minute projections. Frank Ntilikina, RJ Barrett, Marcus Morris, and Julius Randle all feel like safe plays for 30-plus fantasy points. I've been slowly wavering my thought process on trusting Dave Fizdale in terms of minute projections, and for the most part, it hasn't been as spoofy. As a matter of fact, you could argue it's been the opposite. He's been out there running RJ Barrett in 20-point blowouts for 41 minutes. He's clueless. He's clueless. Watch the status of the New York Knicks A couple of injury concerns. First of all, we'll start with Mitchell Robinson. He's kind of the biggest one for me because I do have some interest in Julius Randle and or a guy like Taj Gibson and or a guy like Bobby Portis. So Mitchell Robinson concussion looks like he's going to miss the next couple of games. And looks like he's scheduled to miss this game with the concussion. So keep the name Bobby Portis in the back of your mind. I'll tell you why in just a moment. And then Elfrid Payton will not play against the Bulls. Dennis Smith Jr. Is questionable. Looks like they're worried about his conditioning not being where it needs to be. If you guys are not familiar with Dennis Smith Jr., right after the season started, his stepmom passed away, and he kind of left the team to be with his family for a little bit, so he never really got to be with the team to build his conditioning and play some live rounds. So not sure what what the process is for him to get where he needs to go on that regard. Now let's talk about two guys on the Knicks. First of all, Bobby Portis. And the reason I mentioned Bobby Portis here is because Mitchell Robinson is out. I think Julius Randle was out the last game against the Knicks or against the Bulls, which was on 10/28. Let me fact check that real quick before I start a conspiracy revenge game theory. No, was Mitchell Robinson out that game? It might have been Mitchell Robinson out that game. Maybe Mitchell's ducking Wendell Carter Jr. Thoughts? No, Mitchell played 18 minutes that game. All right, for whatever reason, Bobby Portis in that game against Chicago, you can definitely make a case for revenge. 30 minutes against Chicago, 52 and a quarter fantasy points. He's been a point per minute monster. He's 5,500 today, 29, 24 minutes his last two games. And those are games without Mitchell Robinson. Now he's back at Chicago, where maybe there's some unfinished business. So I'm definitely writing Bobby Portis down on my notes here. Probably writing pencil as a tier 3, and maybe I have wiggle room to get up to a tier 1. Julius Randle, 7,200. I'm looking for the north side of 40 fantasy points. Can he get me there? Well, he's just about done it the last two games without Mitchell Robinson. The matchup here against the Bulls gets a little bit better because the Bulls do not rebound very well at all, and that's probably the Knicks' strength here is their front court with bigs like Randle, Gibson, Portis, Mitchell Robinson. They are getting rebounds like they're supposed to, and the Bulls are not. So Randle could have maybe a 15 rebound double-double with a bunch of real points. I don't think that's crazy. And then Taj Gibson, revenge game for him, sure. Bobby Portis, sure. Marcus Morris, 6,300. I don't think I would ever not have Marcus Morris in my pool today. If you checked out his game log, there's a range of outcomes where he's a strong tournament play. Cleveland didn't go well. Still took double-digit shot attempts. But check out Dallas. Check out Sac. Check out Boston. 40-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 5. So the range of outcomes for him to contribute a 7-8x return at 6,300 is 100% there. So I don't mind looking at him. On the Bulls side, it's hard to love Levine and Lauri Markkanen with a high level of confidence based on the total, based on the pace, based on the lack of rebounding here. But you can make a case individually. Wendell Carter Jr. is a unique look. He kind of snuck past me the other night and was a fantastic tournament play against Houston, 41.5 fantasy points there. He did bang his thumb up, but he is listed as probable here. And then Chandler Hutchison, without Otto Porter Jr., 3,600 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DraftKings. Otto Porter to miss this one as well. So if you ended up with him and some value shots, I don't think that's the craziest play. Moving on, next game, Denver Nuggets hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Couple of injury news and notes on their side. Nothing crazy, though. We do have Evan Turner out. Vince Carter listed as out. John Collins listed as out. Let me double check on the Carter one. I don't know if that's a lingering one or is that specifically for this game. Vince Carter, I think that might be. Vince Carter, personal reasons, has been ruled out for Tuesday's game against the Nuggets. All right, so hopefully everything's all right with Vince. Alex Len listed as questionable. He played just 15 minutes in Sunday's overtime loss to Portland. If he's limited at our sideline, Damian Jones stands to see an increased role in minutes, and Bruno Fernando would likely figure more prominently as well. Cam Reddish AC joint sprain, left shoulder, is probable. Alan Crabb, right knee rehab, questionable. And of course, we have Evan Turner listed as out. So, a couple of things to watch in the Hawks game. I'm not overly interested in many Hawks. I think Trae Young's one of those guys that you can't ignore it. He had over a 40% usage rate in that game against Portland for 65 fantasy points. Every now and then he's going to throw up a stinker. He threw up 15 fantasy points on night 2 of a back-to-back against the Chicago Bulls. There's a 12 in there. That's where he got injured. But, man, the range of outcomes for him to drop 60-plus is... if you're just looking at game logs alone, it's over 50%. The minutes are extremely high for Trae Young right now, and he's done well in even the toughest of matchups. So at 9,200 for Trae Young, knowing that a 60 plus potential points is there. He's in the pool short term. I think I'm curious to see what the spread is. This is one of the more unique spots for anyone, going into the Denver altitude against a Denver defense that I think is really good against backcourts. If we go look at point guard DVP in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Denver Nuggets have been top 6 total in terms of fantasy points allowed, meaning that they've been allowing among the fewest fantasy points in the league to opposing point guards. And I would even wager to guess that maybe that number even gets better in Denver where they take advantage of their home court advantage. So no warm and fuzzies at 9,200 on Trae, but I feel like we've learned our lesson to not have 0. Let's go look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to offer a couple of guys I'm interested. The 2 guys that stand out the most, Nikola Jokic, 8,300 at home. This is what I've always preached. Jokic at home is what we want. His last couple games have been huge, but his last couple of home games that weren't foul-ridden, 57.5 against Philly, the defensive stylings of Joel Embiid, 46 against Dallas in 33 minutes, and 66.5 in that OT game against the Phoenix Suns. So 8,300, this is a price point where I don't need my usual Jokic triple-double, 50, 60 fantasy points. 8,300, you give me 45, I'm walking to the bank, and I'm happy. The other guy I want to play here is Will Barton. Willie Beamer, 6K is probably too cheap for a guy who hasn't given me less than 30 fantasy points since October 25th. And he's only done it once this season, and that was just 21 minutes of action. Right now we're seeing high minutes, high opportunity for Will Barton. The matchup's too pure for me. I think at 6K, the floor is too high for me to fade it. Maybe there's not a whole lot of 40-plus in his future, but giving me a 30-plus point fantasy floor, yeah, I'll take that. We're jotting that down in pencil as at least a tier 2 right now with room to grow. 4,500 for Gary Harris sure seems kind of light. Still a young Hawks team, and Gary Harris, if he's going to play enough minutes, 35, 35, 35 in 3 of his last 4 games, he can still defensive peripheral his way into a solid game. We expect some stolen passes, maybe a block or 2 here and there. And then, hey, he took double-digit shots against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Could be backdoor at 4,500 to 25 to 30 fantasy points. I think 25 isn't that far out of the question. And then Paul Millsap, revenge game, sure, he's under 5K. I just put him down as a soft 30 minutes. Could 30 minutes be enough at 4,900 to get him where we need to go? 35 minutes his last 2 games, 31, 37. I really feel like the Denver Nuggets come in at underpriced here, but I think maybe this will be set up via the DraftKings algorithm to anticipate a lopsided, maybe a blowout affair, right? Malik Beasley listed as questionable. Keep an eye on that. Lakers at the Phoenix Suns. Next game on the docket, 219.5 total. 4.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony Davis is listed with a Q tag, but I do believe he's officially probable with a shoulder. Maybe that changes throughout the day. AD can be AD, but for the most part, I'm just going to assume he's in. LeBron James, 10-5. Again, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the only 2 players on this DraftKings slate listed at 10K plus. So questions and considerations for spending all the way up for these 2 are reasonable. But both guys in and of themselves have 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus point potential. They're going up against a scrappy Phoenix Suns team that defensively started out strong. Last couple games starting to waver a little bit. If we go to the points per game allowed tab in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet and go look for the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns sitting a little bit more league average. I will say that their defensive efficiency is 101.1 points per 100 possessions, which is still top 10 in the league. So I still think there's a reason for me to trust in their defense being good long term. However, LeBron James, Anthony Davis are just unguardable souls. Lakers defense themselves have been borderline elite, allowing 100.1 points per game. And if we go look at their defensive efficiency, allowing the fewest points per 100 possessions, they've actually leapfrogged the Utah Jazz as the best defense. So really hard to have the warm and fuzzies to attack this Lakers team. Ricky Rubio kind of stands out as somebody I wouldn't hate taking a long shot on just because he's been doing it with points, assists, rebounds. He's doing it with a little bit of everything. But Devin Booker's hard to really latch on to at 8,100. I'm looking for 45 to 50 fantasy points to really offset the risk reward there. I'd be happy with 40. I'm just saying, if we get 40, then yeah, sure, we took a risk for him to hit value. But do we really want some Devin Booker against this Lakers defense right now? I don't know. And then Aaron Baines, 6K. So you guys let me know. 4.5 point spread for the visiting Lakers leaves some room for interpretation to believe that the Suns are going to keep this a little bit close based on that spread. And if that did happen, I do think Ricky Rubio would be the strongest catalyst in keeping this game competitive in terms of just doing a little bit of everything. Devin Booker would obviously have to score 30-plus real points here. And then maybe Aaron Baines. I like playing Aaron Baines. I do. I played him against the Brooklyn Nets with a smile. But the Lakers are the Lakers right now. Baines has put up 30-plus fantasy points in 5 straight games. 6 of his last 7. And then 7 of his last 8 has gotten you 28 or more. The minutes all over the place, 18, 29, 32. 18 minutes against Brooklyn came at the hands of 5 personal fouls. So, we might have to revisit this game later on today and have a stronger yes or no, yay or nay type of evaluation. But I would love to know what you guys are thinking on Suns and Lakers. Do you guys think it's worth it? LeBron and AD, man, flip a coin. You want to play him? You want to play him on FanDuel? It's going to be hard to play them both on DraftKings. You might be able to get away with it. But even then, I feel like you start second-guessing yourself in terms of the need to have them both. I think what are the others likely the way to go? And so far, it seems like LeBron James in close games is the guy you want. Close to negative game scripts, 57, 69, 62 in a couple of games that were less than 10 points decided. And then the games for AD, seems like he's been the catalyst or the main beneficiary in double-digit point games outside of the Chicago game, 52, 55 against Toronto, against Miami. But we haven't seen super upside since the Memphis game. And you guys got to remember, Memphis was extremely anomalic in the sense that his free throws were historic. This is a guy, just normal basketball players not named James Harden are not going to average more than double-digit free throws. And in that game against Memphis, 26 of 27 against the Memphis Grizzlies. So could he just be a 50, 55-point average player for the most part? I think that's not a crazy assessment. And this Lakers team is starting to get healthier and healthier and healthier, and we might see them have a minutes plan that doesn't involve AD having to play 40 minutes like we've seen him had to do in New Orleans, and kind of the same for LeBron James. Rajon Rondo went through some 5-on-5 work during Monday's practice. He's officially questionable for this game. Rondo said his calf injury initially began with Achilles soreness, so the Lakers medical staff has been extremely careful bringing him back, given what happened to Kevin Durant in the finals. This helps explain why the calf strain has caused him to miss over a month, but he's making progress and should be back soon. Tuesday's game will be the first of a back-to-back set, so maybe don't be surprised if he doesn't play this game, but he plays tomorrow. Either way, Just know that they're getting a little bit healthier. And then Kyle Kuzma has had his minutes limit of restriction pulled. He played 24 minutes in the last game, hit a season high 3 3-pointers, and maybe that's enough to take away from a couple extra shots for a guy like AD. I don't know. The jury's still out. There's still plenty of ways to assume that AD and LeBron will pop off in the right spot. But this Lakers rotation is getting deeper. It's getting stronger. And it is making me wonder if these games are going to be fruitful for fantasy. Because these LeBron and AD games in the past that we were chasing, high upside games, 50, 60, 70 DraftKings points games, those came on teams where their defenses were bad, right? Like, they had to be extremely good because they were making up for their defense giving up 110, 120 real points, and this defense is not doing that. So I'm undecided where I'm going to be on this game, but we'll talk more about that later this afternoon on twitch.tv/Gundecker99 Nets at the Utah Jazz. Next game on the docket, Jazz night 2 of back-to-back. 217 total for this one. Currently have the Jazz as a minus 6.5 point favorite. The Brooklyn Nets, big news here. Karis LeVert listed as out. So it's going to be next man up for a wing scorer for the Brooklyn Nets. If you want the story here, Karis LeVert's dealing with a right thumb sprain. He underwent an x-ray on his right thumb after hurting it on Sunday. He's scheduled to undergo an MRI either today or tomorrow. This was dated November 11th. But that's all the information we have. Nets have a brutal schedule over the next 2 weeks, so they play every other day. LeVert may need to skip a few games. It'll either be Garrett Temple or Spencer Dinwiddie moving into the starting lineup with LeVert on the sidelines, and Kyrie could see ridiculous usage on Tuesday. So, Kyrie, 9,300. Now, I know what you might think. It's the Utah Jazz. I can't do it. That's kind of what I thought with D'Angelo Russell last night. Kyrie Irving, if he's going to have near 40% usage, ball don't lie, man. Guys are just going to muscle their way to where they need to go. Last night in the Utah and Golden State game, Golden State trailed the whole game. D-Russ still got to 50.5 fantasy points, 32 minutes played, took 25 shots, shot pretty efficiently for what it's worth, 33 real points. But the point here being is that usage will eventually trump matchup at the right price in the right spot. This isn't my favorite spot, and this is not my favorite price, but Kyrie still has a potential to be a top 5 scorer on this slate just because he could score 50 plus fantasy points. And it's a range of outcomes, so I don't want to lose that sight at all. I jotted down Rodion Carew as a potential starter here, but according to this report, it might be Dinwiddie. It might be Dinwiddie or Garrett Temple. So let's just put Garrett Temple for now. I still feel like you might want Dinwiddie as your backup guard just in case things, fall through with Kyrie, and Dinwiddie would still out-minute Temple. But Temple's 3,700. I don't hate the idea of him at 3,700 because we do know he could fill up some peripherals. And if he gets closer to 27 minutes, heck, we've seen him drop 27 and 39 this season alone. Those are going to be much better matchups, much better game scripts against the Pelicans, against the Rockets, much faster-paced teams. But I don't hate the idea of it. I just don't. Let me put Dinwiddie on the bench here, and then let me put Rodion Carew here. I mean, call it the way we see it. This is not a great spot for the Nets, but they do get the benefit of the Utah Jazz being on night 2 of a back-to-back. Generally speaking, Donovan Mitchell at under 8K here. Mike Conley is 6,200 here. And Bojan Bogdanovic revenge game. All individually can hit value. I liked all of them last night. Bojan was one of my higher-owned players last night. 30 minutes for him against Golden State. Put up 18 fantasy points. I'm willing to go back to the well here. Did not get the peripherals like he had been getting in games prior. But prior to this game, we saw minutes around 35 plus, and we saw a return of investment at 40 and a quarter, 38, 32, 30. So a lot of 30 pluses. So I don't mind going back to the well, just just because of maybe some burned hands last night or just, a late night hammer potential. But Donovan Mitchell feels like the safer 40 DKP if we're going to project 40-plus fantasy points. He got there last night, 33 minutes. Again, Utah Jazz kind of led from the word go, and that game got a little bit testy. Draymond Green got ejected. Steve Kerr barking. There was a couple of tough spills here. So I think, Donovan Mitchell on night 2 of back-to-back, the young gun, can still play minutes and maybe picks up a couple extra shots, a couple extra minutes based on some of the old-timers like Mike Conley, not having to play as deep. And then Rudy Gobert. We talk about Rudy Gobert's game log the last couple games. 50, 29, 48, 31, 43. It's volatile. It's up and down. But there are a couple 40-pluses and a 7,500. I'll take the shot there. I do think his shot attempts have been all the way. 2 shots against Milwaukee versus 12 shots last night. I think last night was a case of take advantage of your matchup, and Golden State just doesn't have a true center to contend here. The Nets, could likely start DeAndre Jordan. It is a tougher individual matchup in terms of rim protection. Neither one of those guys are going to leave the paint too much. I think the idea of Gobert dropping 40-plus fantasy points is there. The Brooklyn Nets, if we go to the fantasy points allowed chart in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, they're giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing centers. So the thought, the matchup is still there for Gobert, and there is enough proof in recent games to suggest that Gobert could still be a 40-plus fantasy point producer. And then Mike Conley, 6,200. If we're looking for mid-30s there, and the chance for him to drop 40-plus against Kyrie Irving defense certainly bears its head. It really does. Utah Jazz has been really good on defense. Really good. The Nets, not so much. 6.5. I think the only reason the Jazz are this light of a favorite, considering the Nets are all the way on the road on a West Coast trip, is only because the Jazz played last night. And, unless there's some questionables or some rests out today, I can see this line moving throughout the day. We only got one game left to talk about. I'm going to take a pause for the cause. Remind you guys that this afternoon, after the live stream, which is at twitch.tv/GunDecker99, projected to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will have the RunDFS.com VIP voice chat. You guys can get in on that by having a subscription at RunDFS.com. When you do that, you go to RunDFS.com, make an account, click VIP passes, choose what's right for you, something you want to test out. They have week passes, 2-week passes, month pass. Week is at 30, 2 weeks at 55, and the month is at 100. I know it sounds like a lot, but it really does come with a whole lot of hands-on daily chat with myself and like-minded Vipers, full expedited research spreadsheets, and 24/7 Discord chat access where I'm there. We will have a 2-hour pre-locked voice chat. If you guys have not been familiarized with the Discord app, it is something you can download on your mobile devices, your iPads, and your desktop. So you can be on the go and be notified at all times, keeping your ear to the ground on some shakes and bakes, some changes and whatnot. And then you would come in here and you click voice chat, and before lock, you don't have to grab a mic and chat, but you could. Or you could just listen in and type away. It's a fun community. Lots of razzing going on between some, me and the long timers. So if you guys see me barking at Aideen or Dale, just know that's just what we do. And if you guys want to, be part of that, jump on in. Water's fine. And you get full access to this RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. And then every day before lock, I dress this spreadsheet up with my own personal player pool, what I'm running, my tier 1s, 2s, 3s, my values and whatnot, some optimal line builds and stuff like that. So if you guys ever wanted to know, hey, where's Gunn at on this slate? Who's he targeting this slate? You don't have to run what I'm running. You don't have to agree with what I'm running. That's the beauty of DFS. Yesterday I was off of Andrew Wiggins. If you were on him, you were way better than I was on that call. Simple as that. But it's a good way to support the YouTube channel, the Twitch content, the RunDFS.com, and get something in return, man. Love what we got built on over there. Main event tonight, Sacramento Kings hosting Portland Trailblazers. 227 is our total 2-point spread. in favor of Sacramento. That can't be. That actually cannot be true. Let me fact check this live while I'm recording NBA Global Odds. Okay, Portland favored by 1.5. I think. Yeah, okay, Portland. Yeah, 1.5 Portland. Yeah, knew that couldn't be true. That's still kind of light, though. That really is. I think I just took a screenshot of that, though. Was that different? Yo, check this out, chat. Check this out. Sacramento was favored by 2. I didn't make that up. They were favored by 2. So that all changed within like the last 2 hours of me chatting. And now Portland's favored by 1.5. Why the 3-point swing, you might ask? Well, yesterday, was it yesterday? It was in practice. De'Aaron Fox got himself a flat tire, man. Grade 3 left ankle sprain will be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. An MRI confirmed the diagnosis after Fox picked up the injury at Monday's practice. A grade 3 sprain is just awful news for Fox, and it's important to remember that his absence could easily extend past 3 to 4 weeks. Corey Joseph is the next man up for the Kings, while Yogi Ferrell may enter the rotation as well. So as we begin the slate, we like to know who are some potential value plays and who are our studs. Well, I think this game offers both ends of that spectrum. Value play, Corey Joseph, $3,700 on him. I think on both sites, he will be amongst the highest owned players on this slate, if not the highest owned. 3,700, 29 minutes against Atlanta, 24 DKP. It's kind of like the Raul Neto situation from the Denver game. Whereas if he's at 4,500, I don't have the warmer fuzzies, but at 3,700, such a presumably low risk, high reward price point for him. We've seen this spot for him the last couple of years, whether it be Toronto or San Antonio. So expect some high ownership on Corey Joseph, and I'll probably be biting the bullet on that one as well. And then Buddy Hield at 6,600. Does this guy have to put this team on his back and make some shots? He's already essentially the team's leader in points per game and shot attempts per game. 17, 16, 16, 16 shot attempts, putting up 30-plus fantasy points in 3 straight games. I think the need for him to lead the team in usage likely is there, and I think I'm strongly considering at 6,600 having a nice chunk of Buddy Hield today. Sacramento Kings front court looking a little bit different. Marvin Bagley's still out, but Harry Giles is back into the mix. He saw 8 minutes in his debut against the Atlanta Hawks, got 7.25. We know Rashawn Holmes is their current starting center. He's seen 29, 31, 30 minutes this last couple games. He can be a point-per-minute guy. Not my favorite matchup there going against Whiteside, but I'm actually not a guy that runs from Whiteside. And then guys like Nemanja Bjelica, maybe even Harrison Barnes at sub 6K have to come up and surprise some people. Barnes put up 32, 39, 31, 30 in this last couple games. 4 games? 5 games? Yo, is Harrison Barnes kind of like Will Barton right now? Is he just going to give us 30 fantasy points, play some deep minutes? I think he could be. So I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings for a couple of stocking stuffers and late night hammers. I think a lot of them feel evident. On the Portland Trailblazers side, Damian Lillard is $9,500. He is from Oakland, not too far from Sacktown. He has a history of going absolutely bananas on the Kings. He also has a history of just giving you 50-plus fantasy points. I mean, as far as the eye can see, he's gotten us less than 50 fantasy points twice this season. Twice. His one game against the Sacramento Kings, he gave us 54.5. He's averaging 7 more points at home than on the road this season, but I'm willing to look past that for this matchup. If you go to statnews.com, Damian Lillard, DKP by game log versus Kings, last 10 games. But bam. 54, 47, 41, 50.8, 69. I mean, this is Dame time. Dame is trying to get himself in line for something special. Still a tight spread. I mean, we'll see if this spread moves up or down. But yeah, I'm looking at him. Also, CJ McCollum profiles as a decent shot. 6,500 for him. He's gotten us 46, 19, 34 in his last couple games. Look at the minutes on CJ. 40, 40, 42. They are dealing with some injuries to their wing and guard rotation. Rodney Hood went down a couple games ago. He is dealing with a back issue. He's questionable for this game. Coach Stotts did add that Hood was feeling better on Monday, so maybe he's on the probable side of questionable. We'll see. Kent Bazemore had one of the best games of the season on Sunday with 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 3 triples, so give him a look if Rodney Hood sits out. And then Anthony Simons at 4,900 would be another name that we explore. 24, 36, 26 minutes for him. He's gotten us 24 plus in a couple games straight. This is not quite the same value as it was two or three games ago at 4,900. We need the 30 fantasy points, but against this matchup, it's there. Hey, how about Bogdanovich on the Sacramento Kings side before we move on and move out? 29, 32 minutes for him in the last 2 games, 38, 34 and a half fantasy points. If we're trying to make up some scoring, I think Bogdanovich could be that guy to get us a shot at 20 plus fantasy points. Might even, who knows, slip into a starting lineup here or there if Corey Joseph doesn't work out long term. But Kings have an interesting opportunity at value today. I think we will definitely be diving a little bit deeper into their situation this afternoon on the Twitch stream, so make sure you join us for that. I cannot stress enough how much fun we have and how informative and how entertaining that we try to mix it all together for DFS and have some fun. So if you guys are looking to link up with us on the live show, make sure you have gone to twitch.tv/Gundacker99 and made yourself part of that community, part of that channel. Otherwise, that is our quick first look, hopefully quick enough for you guys at today's 8-game slate Tuesday night. We will be looking for all kinds of news throughout the day and recircle back, and hopefully we might have some stronger indications on who to say yes to, who to say no to, and maybe even some greater tournament play. So I will see you guys this afternoon. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys stopping by the YouTube channel. If you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up before you hit the road. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you enjoyed the content, please subscribe. And the more you guys show me that, hey, these videos are cool, the more I try and do them. It's been kind of rough lately, but you know how that goes. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Stay warm out there. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.